हाय फ्रेंड्स, सबका स्वागत है इजी डेंटिस्ट्री में। फ्रेंड्स प्लीज़ हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें, हमारे वीडियोस को लाइक करें और कमेंट करके हमें बताएं आपको हमारे वीडियोस कैसे लग रहे हैं। तो आज हम पढ़ेंगे ओरल म्यूकस मेम्ब्रेन पार्ट 2। मैं आपको याद दिला दूं, वी आर स्टडिंग ओरल म्यूकस मेम्ब्रेन इन 4 पार्ट्स। In the first part we have studied about the basics. In the second part, now today we will be studying about the non-keratinized mucosa of the oral mucous membrane. Now all the terminology which are required to understand today's topic are explained in the first part of oral mucous membrane. So I advise you all to first watch the part 1 oral mucous membrane and then watch this video. So assuming that you all have watched the earlier video, let's start with today's topic, the non-keratinized mucosa. The non-keratinized mucosa of the mucosa, it is comprised of the lining mucosa and the specialized mucosa. The non-keratinized epithelium, it differs from the keratinized epithelium in that it does not produce the cornified surface layer. The non-keratinized epithelium is made up of 3 layers of cell. The bottommost is the stratum basal, the middle one is called as stratum intermedium, and the upper one is called as stratum superficialis. Now, many students have a doubt in their mind that the oral epithelium is always explained in the books as stratified squamous epithelium. So what is this stratified squamous epithelium? The word stratified means layered. The word stratified means layered. The oral epithelium is always arranged in 3 or 4 or more layers. So it is explained as stratified. Then what is the meaning of the word squamous? The squamous is the nature of the cell. The nature of every cell in the oral epithelium is to shed off. So it is described as squamous. So the oral epithelium is described as stratified, that is layered, squamous, that is shedding epithelium. Now the lining mucosa of the oral cavity comprises of the lip and cheek mucosa, the vestibule and the alveolar mucosa, the inferior surface of tongue, the floor of mouth and the soft palate. Now the lining mucosa, the epithelium is thin. This red color epithelium, it is thin. Then below the epithelium, a lamina propria is present, which is thinner than the epithelium. Then a submucosa is present which connects the epithelium and lamina propria to the underlying muscle. Now this submucosa, it differs in different region of the lining mucosa. It is different in lip, it is different in cheek, it is different in soft palate, it is different in tongue. Now let us study one by one in detail. First comes the lip and cheek mucosa. In the lip and cheek mucosa, the epithelium is arranged there are short irregular ridges of the epithelium. This is the red color is the epithelium with very short ridges. The connective tissue is very dense. This connective tissue is very dense and it shows very short papilla which extends into the epithelium. Now the submucosa. How is the submucosa? It contains of densely arranged collagen fibers shown by green colors. The collagen fibers are densely arranged while the connective tissue is loose. And we can also find some amount of fat cells and salivary glands. The yellow lumens are salivary glands in the submucosa of the lip and cheek. Now what is the function of these densely packed collagen fibers? These densely packed collagen fibers play a very important role. They prevent the lodging of lips and cheek between the teeth while we eat food. It limits these collagen fibers, they limit the mobility of the mucosa and holds it to the underlying muscle, it tightly to the muscle, and therefore it prevents the lodging of lips and cheek between the teeth during we eat. We all have experienced this lodging of our lips and cheek between the teeth while eating, and you know how painful it is. Thanks to these densely packed collagen fibers, or it would be really difficult for us to eat. Now, what is the difference between the submucosa of the lip and submucosa of the cheek? The difference is in the salivary gland size. The salivary glands are very small in the lip mucosa, while they are large in the cheek. And also fordyces granules. What are these fordyces granules? These are ectopic sebaceous gland which are present in the submucosa of the cheek. Normally, sebaceous glands are seen in the skin. It is never seen in the oral mucosa. But ectopic sebaceous glands called as fordyces granules are seen in the submucosa of the cheek. And the mucous membrane is attached firmly to the buccinator muscle in cheek and orbicularis oris muscle in the lip. Now comes the alveolar mucosa. The epithelium of the alveolar mucosa is thin and there are very low epithelial ridges, and sometimes they may even be absent and the epithelium may appear flat. The connective tissue papilla is the lamina propria of the alveolar mucosa is dense, and the connective tissue papillae are very low, and the submucosa of the alveolar mucosa, it is very loosely textured. This submucosa is loosely textured in the alveolar mucosa, and this submucosa attaches the epithelium and lamina propria to the periosteum. Now comes the inferior surface of tongue or the ventral surface of tongue. In the inferior surface of tongue, the epithelium is thin and numerous connective tissue papillae can be seen. The lamina propria is loosely arranged, and the submucosa here is unique. It is hardly identified as a separate layer. On the ventral surface of the tongue, the submucosa is hardly identified as separate layer, and the submucosa attaches the overlying lamina propria and the epithelium to the muscles. Now comes the floor of mouth. The epithelium is thin, the papillae are low, and the submucosa is made up of loosely arranged collagen fibers. These are loosely arranged, and adipose tissue or fat cells can be seen in the submucosa, and also numerous salivary glands, minor salivary glands are seen in the upper portion of the submucosa. Now the soft palate. The epithelium is thin. Very few connective tissue papilla are seen. The lamina propria show distinct layers of elastic fibers. Elastic fibers are present in lamina propria, and the submucosa is very loose with numerous mucous glands. Mucous salivary glands are seen in the submucosa, and between these mucous salivary glands you can also appreciate few taste buds. Now see, this is very important. Taste buds are present in the submucosa of soft palate. This is frequently asked in Viva, MCQs, and to test your knowledge. Other than tongue, the taste buds are also found in the soft palate. Now come, here we complete the lining mucosa. We have seen how the submucosa differs in every area of the lining mucosa. This is very, very important. Now next comes the important topic, which is also equally important. This is the specialized mucosa. The specialized mucosa comprises of dorsum of tongue and the taste buds. Now dorsum of tongue, or the superior surface of tongue, is rough and irregular. A V-shaped line called sulcus terminalis divides the tongue into two parts, the anterior 2/3 part and the posterior 1/3 part. At the angle of this sulcus terminalis, at this angle, there is the presence of foramen cecum, which is the remnant of the thyroglossal duct. Now let us study the anterior 2/3 part of the tongue, which contain the papillae. There are four important papillae. These are the filiform, fungiform, valate and foliate papillae. Let's see each of them in detail. The filiform papillae is the most numerous papillae. They are the most numerous papillae present on the dorsal surface of the tongue, and the epithelium is keratinized. They are cone shaped. They appear to be cone shaped. If we magnify them, they appear to be cone shaped. The epithelium over them is keratinized and a connective tissue core may be seen. These papillae, filiform papillae, is the most numerous, but they do not contain any taste buds. Now comes the next papillae. These are the fungiform papillae. In between the filiform papillae are mushroom shaped papillae, which are called as the fungiform papillae. They appear as red prominences on the tongue. They appear as very red dots on the tongue, and there is a rich capillary network inside the fungiform papillae, and these fungiform papillae contain 1 to 3 taste buds. Now next comes the valate papillae. Just in front of the sulcus terminalis, 8 to 10 valate papillae are present. So these are deep circular furrows. These are circular furrows, and if we see each one of them in detail, we can see a structure like this. It has a narrow base and a wide superior surface. This is wide superior surface, and the broad surface shows numerous secondary papilla and numerous taste buds. Taste buds are present in plenty in these circumvallate papillae. One important thing, salivary gland of von Ebner is a minor salivary gland. We will study about it later in the chapter of salivary glands. This gland opens in the trough. This is the trough of the valate papillae. This is the trough of the valate papillae, and this is the trough of the valate papillae, and this von Ebner gland, it empties out its secretion in the valate papillae. The saliva secreted by this von Ebner gland, it contains a very unique enzyme, and this is salivary lipase. So the von Ebner gland, it empties its saliva in the trough of the valate papillae, and this saliva is rich in salivary lipase, and it helps in the digestion of food. Now the fourth papillae is the foliate papillae, which is present on the lateral border of tongue. They are sharp clefts, and the foliate papillae also contains the taste buds. Now Let us now study about the taste buds in detail. Now, what are these taste buds? The taste buds are intraepithelial organs. If this is the epithelium, the taste buds are present inside the epithelium and are the intraepithelial organs. They are ovoid or barrel shaped. They are ovoid shaped, shown in this diagram, and they are 80 micrometer high and 40 micrometer in width. Now, if we see these intraepithelial organs or taste buds in detail, the outer surface of the taste bud is covered by flat epithelial cells. These are flat cells and they enclose a small pore. This is the taste pore. This taste pore, it leads to a narrow space. This is the narrow space which is supported by supporting cells. The inner cells are spindle shaped and the outer cells are longer. And in between these cells, there you can appreciate in blue lines, these are the neuroepithelial cells. And these neuroepithelial cells are nothing but they are the receptors of taste stimuli. Now, taste buds also contain rich plexus of nerves beneath it. Beneath it also is a rich plexus of nerves. Now, what is the taste sensation? There are two theories explaining the taste sensation. The first theory says that the taste sensation can be divided into sweet, salty, sour and bitter. The sweet taste is perceived on the tip of tongue by the fungiform papillae at the tip. The salty taste sensation can be perceived on the lateral border of tongue and is perceived by the fungiform papillae on the lateral border. The bitter taste is appreciated on the posterior part of the anterior two-thirds of tongue and in the middle part. So it is appreciated by the valid papillae. And the sour taste is appreciated on the posterior lateral part and by the foliate papillae. So the sweet taste is appreciated by fungiform papillae at the tip of tongue, the salty taste by the fungiform papillae on the lateral border of tongue, the bitter taste by the valid papillae, and the sour taste by the foliate papillae. Another theory says that the taste sensation cannot be broken down into sweet, sour, bitter, or salty, but when a chemical substance come in contact with the nerve cells of the taste bud, the nerve cell is triggered and taste is initiated. Now, we will also study about the nerve supply of tongue, which is a very, very important topic. It does not leave you from first year to PG entrance NEET. This is very important. It is asked in anatomy, in Viva, MCQs. So, first, let us study the development of tongue. The anterior two-thirds part of the tongue is developed from the first pharyngeal arch. The posterior one-third is formed from the third pharyngeal arch. Now, the sensation in the tongue are sensory, taste and motor sensation. Now, let us study one by one in detail. The sensation of the tongue is supplied by two nerves. The anterior two-thirds by the lingual branch of the trigeminal nerve. The anterior two-thirds is formed from the first pharyngeal arch, whose nerve is the trigeminal nerve. So, anterior two-thirds of the tongue is supplied by the lingual branch of trigeminal nerve, while the posterior one-third is formed by the third pharyngeal arch. So, It is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. Now, what is the nerves of the taste sensation? The nerve for the anterior two-third is the chorda tympanic branch of the facial nerve, and for the posterior part, one-third part, it is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Now, let me tell you a mnemonic to remember this nerve supply of the tongue. For the sensory, for the posterior one-third of tongue, both the sensory supply and the taste, for the taste sensation, both are supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. So posterior one-third, there is no confusion. It is only the glossopharyngeal nerve which supplies both the sensation. But what about the anterior two-third? We always get confused. For the mnemonic for the anterior two-third is, in America, anterior two-third. A for America, A for anterior two-third. Lakhs of tourists come by flight. For the tourist, the last word is S. The sensory, for the sensory supply, lakhs of tourists, lingual branch of trigeminal nerve. And for the taste sensation, come by flight, it is chorda tympanic branch of facial nerve. So in America, lakhs of tourists come by flight. For anterior two-third, for sensory supply, lingual branch of trigeminal nerve, and for taste supply, chorda tympanic branch of facial nerve. I hope, student, this is clear to you. Now, what is the motor supply? It is by the hypoglossal nerve, except one muscle of the tongue, which is palatoglossus, supplied by the vagus nerve. Everything which includes something like gloss is related to tongue. So, for the motor supply, among the cranial nerves, hypoglossal nerve supplies the motor supply, except one muscle, which is the palatoglossus, supplied by the vagus nerve. So, here we complete the topic non-keratinized mucosa. So, it is quiz time. The first question for today's quiz is, which papilla contains 0 taste buds? The second question is, salivary lipase is secreted by which salivary gland? And the third question, other than tongue, which part of the oral mucous membrane contains taste buds? If you have watched this video carefully, you will be surely answering this question. Please provide your answers in the comment box. It will make you more confident about the topic. Students, please subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends and share the knowledge. Happy studying!